sliding back into old coping mechanisms is not a problem. Let me explain why. So whether this is, like for me, it's excess eating of chocolate, you might be smoking, drinking, sleeping, whatever it is that for you, you know that those habits that you have worked so hard on to kind of disrupt, to perhaps even stop, and you haven't done them for years, and now you're noticing you're sliding back into this, right? And especially if you've had mental health diagnosis, where you can quickly catastrophize this and make this into something huge, and this means that I'm too broken and I'm damaged and I'm ruined, and this is something really big and dangerous or whatever, right? Our amygdala is a little bit easier to flip into that emergency kind of mode, right? A little situation that causes, for me, that uncomfortable feeling. It doesn't need to be panicky. It doesn't need to have a real intense emotional state for this to happen. A small dysregulation of your nervous system can get you to slide back into old habits. This is exactly why I'm doing this video. I haven't had mental health symptoms like your PTSD or the panic attacks and things like that. I haven't had symptoms like that for ages, right? And yet I've been sliding back into my old chocolate eating habit. So that's why I'm doing this video. I really want to not normalize, but just shine a light on it, right? If you are sitting at home right now and you're really struggling and beating up on yourself and judging yourself and being harsh and critical, right, with yourself, I have to just pause for a moment and think about how many people on this planet right in this very moment are experiencing a very similar situation as you do, right? And they're also feeling, for me, I don't want to reject that, but for me there's always that disappointment in myself, a frustration, or sometimes it's an unfairness. Why can't I be a stronger person, or whatever it is, right? The things that we do. But I just really want you to see that it's almost like a human experience. It happens, right? We don't have to be loving and kind and compassionate and all this. It's not even about that. It's beautiful if you can. If you don't, I'm just inviting you to shine a light on this a little bit and open this up. It's like, yeah, I have been sliding into this, and looking at the situation that happened before you went and did that activity. What is going on, right? For me, it is a financial situation, right? When there's some tightness, or when I get that sense there's not quite enough, or I worry that there might not be enough for the next bills that are coming up, right? Because there's some big changes happening in my life right now. I'll share that in future videos next year, right? So I had to make big deposits here and then, it's tied up. So that stress, even though in the past that would have created panicky kind of states for me, right? My anxiety would have been through the roof. So I don't have that. I don't have panic attacks, right? Or sleep disturbances and things like that, dreaming about it all night long, and that restlessness and stuff. So it's not that extreme. So I don't know where you're at on that spectrum, right? Whether you're still feeling more of these crisis kind of situations where you have some very pronounced, very strong mental health symptoms, or whether you're more at my end of the spectrum where it's the symptoms aren't actually that bad, but you're still sliding back. Right? It can happen. It can happen. It is just that for me, that discomfort, that slight restlessness, that little bit of stress is enough. And it is catching yourself that, oh yes, I am feeling that. That is my nervous system being slightly dysregulated right now. I can add to that dysregulation by beating up on myself, comparing myself, and calling myself useless and hopeless and whatever, right? I can add a layer, right? When we're criticizing ourselves harshly, that inner critical voice, that actually also dysregulates the nervous system, right? It makes it even harder on our system to create some kind of balance again, right? But can we just see what it actually does if I always say sit with that discomfort, right? It's almost like having a cup of tea. You're sitting down having a cup of tea with that discomfort. For me it is. Maybe for you it's anxiety. It doesn't matter what you call it, right? You're just sitting down. It's like, oh, here you are. And you're allowed to be here. Not making it right, not making it wrong. It's just this. Okay, you're here. Do you have a message for me? Right? Or getting curious, where in my body do I feel this? Is it moving? Is it changing? Just like you've never had that experience before, right? Be like a researcher having this new phenomenon in your body, right? Just allowing it to be there and meet it with curiosity, knowing that, especially if you have PTSD, that your amygdala is just blowing things out of proportions, right? It treats these little things as like there's some huge danger, a serious threat. It's an emergency that needs my attention right now, and it is not really that way, right? But it makes it even feel more uncomfortable, and then we're trying to get rid of that sense of uncomfortableness. That's what we do with the coping mechanisms. The coping, like me eating a block of chocolate, is trying to soothe or distract me from that feeling of discomfort. You see that? That's all that does. Drinking alcohol when I was still drinking, it's taking that edge of those emotions that I don't want to feel. It doesn't work for very long, right? It's really just taking the edge off for the moment, and then it comes back, right? But if we just stay with it and explore that, what really happens to that sensation, right? Is it really that bad? As bad as the mind makes it for us, right? And why did you really explore that and perhaps do that with a therapist or a coach if that's very new to you, or book a call in with me? I'm opening quite a few open spots again for new clients as well. So it sometimes can help talking that through to someone else, because some of those things we might not see right away, but this is just like a skill, right? The more you sit there, the more, like I said, I sit down and have tea with that discomfort. The more I do that, the more I open up, the more clear it comes to me. What am I doing here, right? And the moment you shine clarity on it, it loses its power. It loses that grip of that urge or that impulse to distract myself with my habit that I worked so hard on to stop, right? So let me know how you go. I'm really curious, but I just really want to highlight that this is a human experience, right? This is what it's almost a natural tendency to try to get ourselves away from feelings that we label as wrong or uncomfortable, or I don't want to have that. That's what we want to pay attention to, right? So it's not just the feeling or the sensation in the body, but also what we say to ourselves about this. I hope that makes sense. But if you have any questions, please leave them below the video here. Thanks.